Your last point is that you identify limitations in the way failure is measured with a traditional withdrawal rate research. What do you mean by that?
So failure is reaching zero before the end of the 30 years, and it doesn't really measure whether that you reach zero 10 years before the end of the time period, or if you just missed your spending 4% spending goal by $1, that's failure, or if you miss it by $100,000, that's failure.
And those are two very different situations in
right.
real life.
and so that's more an issue of what asset allocation do you use with your 4%. And then the higher the stock allocation, the larger the expected bequest you will leave is. But as well, the failure rate may not be higher, but when failure happens, the failure may be substantially bigger.
Right.
And the magnitude of failure. So even if a higher stock allocation may keep the failure rate at just say 8% instead of 12%. But that's not necessarily suggesting that you should go with the 8% failure rate, because those failures may happen much earlier on and may put the retiree in a much worse situation than the 12% failure rate, where it was just a small failure at the end.
One of the things that I think about with the research is that the whole thing is assuming just a static position, as if you make a plan and you never change it, and that's sort of unrealistic too. I think I mean, what's the advisor for? Is to step in and make adjustments when it's appropriate. So, so the idea of failure, that you're just simply going to run out of money, probably isn't going to happen in the real world, because you're going to adjust your plan in some way too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Bill Bengen answered a very important question, because when he was writing in 1994. There was this discussion that, well, stocks have returned 7% historically in real terms, so you can withdraw 7% and expect to never run out. And that misses the vital point of the sequence of returns risk, that the volatility of the portfolio, if your portfolio drops in value and you're still withdrawing constant inflation-adjusted amounts, you start eating the portfolio very quickly, and it may never be able to recover even when the stock market returns, because there's not enough capital left anymore. So he answered that very important question to say, no, 7% is not reasonable. But that's not an income strategy. Just withdrawing 4% without ever making any sort of adjustment is not really a viable retirement income strategy. And I don't think it was ever meant to be viable. It was just answering this issue of how much can you withdraw confidently, not worry about running out.
So, and I think all these points you made all have implications on advisors working with clients, and that you have to see each client individually, and you have to make decisions on longevity and their willingness to change spending, or are they going to reduce spending. All those are individual decisions that you're going to discuss with your client.